So, sir, you are suing for fraud. At this time, sir, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and tell me what is the basis of your suit for fraud.
Okay, so for the IRS debt, that's the biggest debt that I'm trying to tackle. I had
Okay,
got
let's
IRS to open
okay,
investigation.
slow down for me. How do you know the defendant in this case?
Oh, the defendant is my mother. Yes, Your Honor. I'm Adonis Royal.
All right. So, Mr. Royale, you're appearing pro se. Miss Malika Agdagba, Mr. Alonzo Nelson is in the courtroom on behalf of Miss Agdagba. And so, sir, you are suing for fraud. At this time, sir, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and tell me what is the basis of your suit for fraud.
Okay, so for the IRS debt, that's the biggest debt that I'm trying to tackle. I had got
Okay,
IRS to open
okay,
investigation.
slow down for me. How do you know the defendant in this case?
Oh, the defendant is my mother.
Okay, all right, that makes it a little bit clearer. And you are suing because,
Because she admitted to opening a business in my name, like using my social security number in order to collect the funds. She admitted to it on email, and I attached those documents. And I was trying to get
and
it appeared to the IRS as if I was in a different like tax bracket, as if I received so much income, but it was never me. And because she never paid the taxes on it, they're trying to they have this outstanding debt on my account that I'm trying to get cleared up. And I have the email and text messages of her
how much
admitting it.
is the debt?
Oh, the IRS debt now it's daily accruing, but the debt is over $20,000 now. They
Okay.
compound interest every day.
When did you become aware that there was a business that purported to be in your name?
In 2017, when I was stationed in Korea,
Uh-huh. Ooh. And what part of the military were you in?
the Army.
Okay. All right. And at that time, what did you do when you found out that there was a business that purported to be owned by you?
Okay. I reached out to my mother. It was other things that appeared first. It was like rims and other things started appearing on my credit, and people started contacting me. And I started doing the research trying to see what else is possibly in my name. And that's when I found out when my tax refund didn't come on time. And I contacted the IRS. I say, hey, where that? They say you and they sent me the transcript stating how much money that they was trying to say that I was collecting every month and how the total came up to what it was. And I explained that I
Okay.
had never had a business, and they gave me the address of the business. And that's how I
And
knew it
you,
was my mother.
so when you say the IRS, did you mean like a PPP loan that they were giving out during the pandemic, or was it something else? Because as you're saying, the IRS is saying you collected a lot of money.
Okay, it wasn't from the PPP or SBA. It was from her. She had an actual shop on Highway 85 in Riverdale, and
Okay.
in order to collect the funds, she opened up a Square account, a Stripe account, in order to receive the funds. I
So
think it's
she
one of
was
them.
receiving funds um, through the business. So the business was operating and taxes were not being paid on the purchases made and the income from the business. Okay.
Correct.
What type of business was it?
Clothing boutique with like a woman clothing boutique with like purses and clothes.
Okay. All right. And did you at any point file something with your with any of the credit bureaus to indicate that you had an issue with someone using your identity?
Yes, with all three credit bureaus, the Federal Trade Commission, Square, and Stripe, since those are two appended agencies that be collecting people funds. I wasn't sure which
Mm-hmm.
one it was, so I filed a report with both of those. And I also, once I returned from Korea, I couldn't do a police report over there. But once I returned from Korea, I was stationed in Missouri, and I filed a police report in Missouri about it as well.
Okay, and I don't think of anything else. So credit bureaus, trade commission, police report. All right. All right. Is there anything else you want to tell me?
Uh, um, in addition, recently I just repaired one of my old phones. I also have voice recordings as well too, that stating that she did it and she would like to fix it.
Okay, and how much are you seeking? You're alleging that you were damaged in because of the fraud. How much are you seeking because of that?
I'm seeking $30,000, Your Honor. The IRS debt, even though it was only 20 something dollars, 20,000 something dollars in total, in addition to that debt, the progressive leasing that was on my name, the BB&T Bank, all the different things that was on my name, causing me to pay so much money to this current day in interest, because every single time I apply for somebody, I either have to put a larger chunk down than average, or I have to pay over 20% APR. So that's what I'm trying to sue for, $33,638.42. And the Navy Federal credit card as well, which I attached that I paid it off. And I also attached a letter of her saying she used my Navy Federal account when I went to basic training for the Army, and I got the amounts listed on that as well. It was a credit card, and it was also a savings account.
And how much was that?
The letter, so
I'm sorry.
the $474.08 was for the savings account. $240 was for the credit card, and
Was this part
also
of the
for Georgia.
$33,000? Or was this separate
Yes,
from
Your
the
Honor.
33,000 or is part of it?
That's included in the 33,000, Your Honor. I'll
Okay.
just give you a
All right.
breakdown.
Okay, that's fine. You mentioned Navy credit, and I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't a separate request.
Understood.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you want to tell me?
Just that Georgia Power,
Yes.
I moved back to Georgia in order to be able to get this case started, because I
Yes.
filed reports in Missouri and Vegas, and it seemed like I wasn't getting no progress. It seemed like the police would not pursue. So I
Okay.
moved to Georgia for 1 year to fix this.
Yes.
And when I moved to Georgia, I found out that somebody had open lights in my name for the amount of $274.20. So I had to file a fraud packet with Georgia Power. Once I reached out to Georgia Power gave me the address. I have screenshots as well from my actual Georgia Power portal. And it stated the address that my mother stayed at before, which was 7144 George's Way in Morrow, Georgia, 30260. So I had to pay that in order to have lights at my new residence in Georgia while I was pursuing this case.
Okay. All right. All
So
right.
that's all you.
Thank you. Mr. Nelson, anything on behalf of Miss Agadagba?
Judge, I'd like to ask Mr. Adonis Royale some questions about his claim. You're asking the court. You said for. Can you hear me? Am I?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
You're asking the court for $33,000, correct?
Yes.
And in your complaint, you said you were asking for $10,000 for defamation of your character.
Yes.
When did that supposedly occur?
So the defamation occurred with all of the fraudulent activities in my name, and in addition to that, um,
Go ahead.
the defamation occurred. Um, I have as well. I'm giving you those times. July 15th, 2022, July 15th, 2022, and approximately July 23rd as well, in which she told her sister, my cousin, and her mother that I was trying to kill her and her mother.
Well, you make no mention of any of those things in your complaint. Your complaint strictly about money that you claim she caused you to have to spend. Is that not so?
No, correct. But defamation is the act of damaging the good reputation of somebody.
Yeah.
And that's included when a person fraudulently get things your name to make it hard for you, and then make you look irresponsible, and then make you charge higher rates. So that's still included up under defamation.
So let's go back. You said the IRS claim arose back. You learned about that in 2017.
Correct.
And that was at the time, from the time you filed the complaint, that was 6 years before, correct?
Correct.
And that would have been part of what you're claiming defamed.
Yes, that's a part of that. Yes.
And then you said that the Georgia's Way document, when was that? When was service provided? I believe your document shows that service was provided in 2016.
Yes, for that address from 8/9/16 to 11/10/16.
And did you live at Georgia's Way in 2016?
In 2016, temporarily, yes, but I was homeless, so my mother allowed me to stay there for a little bit of time.
And did your mother live there with you?
Yes, it was our house.
Okay, and you used the power that was provided at that location?
Yes.
So, and you didn't pay any bills for that power at that location, correct?
Say that one more time, sir.
You didn't pay the Georgia Power bills at the Georgia's Way location,
Correct.
but you lived there.
Temporarily, when I was homeless, I was staying with my mother. But
And
yes,
when when Georgia Power contacted you, you filed an affidavit that said that you didn't live at that address, or you didn't open that account, correct?
no, I let them know that I did not give anybody permission to open service at that address, and I let them know what was my address, my last current Georgia.
And you didn't pay that bill to Georgia Power, correct?
I did pay the bill in Georgia Power, as I told you, Your Honor.
Any proof that you paid that bill?
I do. I have the screenshots right here from the portal, and it explains when did they first tell me, and I also have proof of them actually saying where did it come from, which was that 7144.
Now let's but that's the affidavit that you attached to your complaint is dated 2022, correct?
Yes, the affidavit to Georgia Power.
Yes.
Correct.
And you were living at, I suppose, at Westlake Avenue at that time?
Correct.
And when did you pay the Georgia Power bill?
Okay, so as soon as I moved into that address, I could pull up the screenshots for you to see. As soon as I moved to that address, I had to pay it. I paid it in increments. Initially, I had to pay a $65 fee in order to move in. I had to pay $30 additional fee to move in, and after that, Georgia Power let me know that I had a previous balance, and they attached it onto that. So I have the proof of all my payments for that year.
And that started in 2020. When did you move to Westlake?
That started in 2022.
Okay.
I can give you a definite date if you would like. Well, Georgia Power will back it.
I would very much like a definite date, but I can come back in a minute.
Well, let's get the definite date. I don't like to come back. That's chewing McCabbage twice.
All right, Judge. What was the date that you paid the Georgia Power bill?
Okay, no problem.
Can you hear us?
That's much better. Okay, whatever you're doing, that's much better.
I think it's good.
All right, Mr. Nelson, go ahead. Mr. Royale, unmute to answer, but I think there's some background noise in your area. Okay, go ahead.
It looks like he's muted. Oh, you said to answer.
Mhm.
Mr. Royale, did Ms. Agadaba ever represent to you anything about the Georgia Power account? Did she ever make any representations to you about the Georgia Power account?
No.
Did she make any representations to you about the IRS?
Yes, I provided that with the court when I filed this on there.
And was that representation made to you prior to your learning that this account was outstanding?
Say that one more time.
Did Ms. Agadaba represent to you in any way any information about the IRS account before 2007?
No.
And did she represent to you in any way any information about opening a Square account?
Yes.
And did she do that before 2016?
No.
So is it true then that you didn't rely on anything that Ms. Agadaba told you in relation to any of these accounts prior to her opening them or anything of that kind?
Say that one more time.
It's true then that Ms. Agadaba never made any representations to you about the accounts before opening them or exercising control over whatever she was doing with them?
Correct. She never told me anything about them. She just went and did them on her own.
And you've testified that you learned about the IRS account in 2017.
Yes, correct.
And have you paid the IRS?
No.
So
They take theirs up front. So every tax return, they take some off. They take some off.
so you have not paid the IRS the money.
Correct.
Well, now that wasn't his response, Mr. Nelson. He said every tax return, they take some out. So in effect, if that was his money, then, and they're taking it out, he has paid. What, do you know what they've been taking out, Mr. Royale?
No, Your Honor. I can log to my portal in which it'll show me like some of the payments that they take out, and it don't go back that far. And then the reason why the balance is so high because they say I'm still paying the interest because the balance is so high. So that's why it looked like the total isn't coming down. That's how the lady explained it to me yesterday.
Okay, but have you in any way figured out how much money of what you are entitled to as a refund that they're taking out to service this debt?
No, Your Honor. I don't have the exact.
Okay, do you have a payment plan with the IRS that you're gonna service this debt over time?
No, Your Honor. I opened up investigation with the Taxpayer Advocate Service, and once I opened up the investigation, once I gave them documentation, they told me that I need to pursue this in court. And then they said after I get out pursuing this to court, basically email all the paperwork into Fresno, California, their office, and then they say they will go for there once they see that I'm actually actively pursuing it, despite me giving them the police report and things like that. They want to actually see I'm serious about it, and then they say it should be for me to get everything that they have took from me.
But let me ask you this. So they have made some representation somewhere that some of what they've retained of a tax return is used for this debt?
Oh yes, they're big on that. When anytime they're supposed to give me anything, I get a notification that say, hey, go to your outstanding debt, and they say when everything's said and done, once I'm cleared, they say everything will be refunded to me when that happens.
Okay, but have they given you an amount of what they've taken out to date? You said that
No,
they tell you that you're just paying you're servicing the interest on the debt, but have they told you how much that is?
no, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Mr. Nelson.
And it was, I'm just trying to make sure I have all of the accounts covered, Judge. Your Navy Federal account was in 2013 when your mother used the account? Is that?
Correct. It's dated and timed by my mother on the paperwork I provided to the court.
And your BB&T account, the $844, that was in 2013 as well, was it not?
Correct.
So what did, when did you,
Mute for me, Mr. Royale. Okay.
when did you go to South Korea?
2017,
And when did you come back to the US?
2018.
And you've been in the US since that time?
Correct.
And when did you leave the military?
2/28/20 honorably discharged.
To,
2/28/20.
okay, so you've been out of the military 3 years before you filed this complaint.
Since I served the court paperwork, not since I filed an initial complaint. My initial complaint was with the police department once I returned from Korea, with the Missouri Police Department, then the Las Vegas Police Department, then the Georgia Police Department.
And when did you file the first police department report?
In 2018, once I got back from Korea.
Have you paid BB&T?
No, I have not.
And have you said you paid the $240?
Who are you referring to? Navy Federal?
Yeah, you said you paid that $240.
Yes, the credit card. Yes, correct.
And do you still have that account?
I don't have access to my Navy Federal account due to the rest of the outstanding balance.
Did you receive any benefit from any of the money that you claim your mother
You said, did I receive any benefit from any of the money that she did?
that you claim she fraudulently got in your name?
I haven't got any benefit from any of the money that she admitted she fraudulently claimed.
None whatsoever.
What'd you say, sir?
I said no benefit whatsoever.
Correct.
That's all I have for him now, Judge.
All right.
Judge, can I ask you a question?
Sure. I may not be able to answer, but you can ask.
Okay. When I first received a notification, it let me know that I should urge to drop my case due to the statute of limitations. The initial argument I thought I would be having with them would be they were trying to say statute of limitations, but now they're not saying it anymore. So I'm kind of confused. From my understanding, the way the statute of limitation work is that when it's something like IRS, it don't go away. It's not something that expires and fall off your credit or nothing like that, unlike different debts. So since the defendant had actually admitted to, and I have all the paperwork and voice audios as well, why can't we just that's black and white right there. That's her email, that's her address, that's her work address. I got the audios. Why can't we just wrap this up? Let's not prolong this.
Mr. Nelson?
Your Honor, the statute of limitations offense is still in play. He has admitted actually that he had knowledge of all of these supposed fraudulent transactions from at least 2017. Obviously, his documents show that the Navy Federal account was 2013. His testimony is that the Navy Federal account was 2013. The BB&T account was 2013. He claims he's paid the Georgia Power account, but that was 2016. The fact that the IRS debt is outstanding does not address the issue of his fraud claim as it relates to when and if Ms. Agadaba perpetrated a fraud against him. And I would submit to the court that his testimony that she never made any representations to him would constitute a defense to any claim of fraud, and that Mr. Royale has not cannot show that he relied on anything that Ms. Agadaba told him that would rise to give him a claim for fraud. So I would submit that we can wrap this up with a judgment in favor of the defendant, because he has not made out a claim that or presented any evidence that supports that she perpetrated a fraud against him. If she made
So
representation.
using his credit, his social security number, his name, his information to establish credit without first getting his consent, that's not fraudulent.
It's not a fraud that would give him a rise to a cause of action, Your Honor. He would be, and possibly if he files a lawsuit, or if Georgia Power had filed a lawsuit, or if BB&T had filed a lawsuit of some kind, they would be the ones that the representations were made to. You can't perpetrate a fraud against a person unless you have made representations to that person on which that person has relied. So he does not have a claim for fraud based on Ms. Agadaba, what he's claiming that Ms. Agadaba did. That claim would lie with the creditors or other people who may have lost money or other things. But again,
he's paid those debts on behalf of the accounts taken out by her. He's had to pay because she took out those accounts. And so he should at least have a cause of action for reclaiming money that she caused him to owe.
Judge, he claims that he has paid. And if you look at the timeline, I would submit to the court that the statute of limitations that run even on those claims. So if
he was an active service member. Is there any relief for him under the Service Member Civil Relief Act? Because if you're away serving the country and somebody uses your information to perpetrate, to establish fraudulent accounts, and whether he relied on her saying something or not, the accounts are undeniably fraudulent because somebody relied on her information to establish these accounts and to use them and to use his credit. So he was in the service of the country at the time, and there should be some form of protection under the Service Members Civil Relief Act to keep him from having to come back to destroy credit and mounting debts.
He was not deployed outside of the country, and he was in the country from 2018 forward, Judge.
He was out of the country from 2017 to 2018, and he's argued here today it was 2017 when he discovered that his credit was being fraudulently used.
And when he came back into the country in 2018, if you want to give him relief under the Sailors and Soldiers Relief Act, his statute would have still began to run at that point in time. He would not have been just because he's active military does not give him, you don't have to do anything ever. When he was deployed in Korea, that may be the only period.
So the ongoing debt with the IRS is, so what you're saying is that because he waited until he got back into the country to file police reports and to pursue this cause of action, that his mother gets away with basically stripping him of his credit and money because he was away in the military and he reacted in the way that he knew, the only way he knew to react when he got back.
I submit to you that he is not entitled to recover. He has testified that he has not paid the IRS debt, so he is.
But no, that's not what he said, Mr. Nelson, and we're not going to continue to say that he's not paying. If they're taking money out of his returns, he's paying. If they're sending him information and he's paying even incrementally, he's paying, and the debt still hangs over his head. So you want the court to say, well, you know, he hasn't incurred any damage because he's not paying, and because, you know, he waited too late to address something because he was overseas while she did it. But he has an active IRS debt that with interest mounting, that she caused. And he also didn't agree to have any of this happen to him. But you're saying that because he's making payments or they're taking the money for him periodically, that he's not entitled to any recovery?
I am saying that he's not entitled to recover on a claim of fraud because, Your Honor, she made no representations to him, number one, on
Well,
which,
he is entitled to recover on a claim of defamation.
well, he's not entitled to recover on that because there's a 1-year statute of limitations on defamation claims. And that statute of limitations starts to run even if he doesn't know that the claim is out there. So that long expired as well. So he has no claim on defamation because it's been, what, at least 7 years, 6 years before he filed the claim that he would have known about the claims arising. But even if he did not know about the claim, the statute still starts to run from the time that the claim would have arisen to begin with. So there's no defamation claim. There's a statute of limitations issue there as well, Judge. And so
So the fact is, I'm horrified, but you're arguing that there's nothing I can do for the fact that his mother totally stripped him financially.
Judge, I don't think there's any relief you can grant him on any of these claims due to the expiration of the statutes of limitations on all of these claims. And unless and until, I mean, I don't know how to address the IRS claim from the standpoint of whether or not he has to pay it or whether or not he does.
Well, he's already given testimony that he's paying it. They're taking it.
But he hasn't given us any testimony as to what he has paid, first of all. And given him, you can't give him a judgment for the entire amount because he hasn't paid the entire amount. And again, we are talking about something that was 6 years. Fraud claims usually have a 4-year statute of limitations.
Clear.
So when he got here in 2018, if you exclude the 2017 period when he was out of the country, when he got back in 2018, somebody, if he was going to file a lawsuit, he should have filed it before 2022. He didn't file this one until 2023. So his statute had expired before he filed anything. And again, he has not shown that he relied on any representation from his mother to him that caused him to suffer any kind of fraudulent damage or damage from her alleged fraud is what I should say. So I think he has failed on all counts. The statute of limitations clearly has expired on all of these claims.
There are some days when I really don't like the limitations on my power. But one limitation I don't have is I get to say what I want, as old people and judges get to do. And since I'm old and a judge, Mrs. Agbagda, you're a horrible person to defraud and take from your son in this way, and then to leave him with the debt without paying it, even though you've acknowledged you did what you did. Horrible. Just horrible. As a mother, I don't countenance people coddling kids and raising people who can't stand on their own 2 feet. But obviously, Mr. Royale is very astute and has been able to determine what was done to him and has gone about it in the best way he knew how to address what was done to him. But that does not erase the fact that you are a horrible, horrible person. And I just can't even say enough about how you can defraud your own flesh and blood and then sit there smirking and clear in the notion that you've gotten away with it because he was away serving his country and he reacted in the best way he knew how when he got back. If you had any heart and any morality, you would pay back the debt that you caused. And I'm going to study the information that Mr. Royale has provided. And before I make a decision, this is the Georgia, it requires that there be notice pleading, but it doesn't have to be pinpointed and specific except with respect to fraud. And so if there's any other claim upon which he can prevail in this case, I think I've heard enough for him to prevail. So yeah, we'll be fly specking that. Mr. Nelson has done a good job in representing you, and I'm sure he had to hold his nose to do it because what you did was horrible. All right. All right. So, Mr. Royale, you'll get an order from the court. It may not be to your liking, but it may be what you need to establish the pursuit of these actions and to assist you with addressing it with the IRS and any of the other creditors. Okay. And Mr. Royale, I'm quite impressed. Most of the time, you know, if somebody's pro se, they are not as prepared as you will have been. And so you might want to consider going to law school, Mr. Royale.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you. My wife was actually looking into law school, so even when I was in the military, she helped me with my cases. And
well, then she needs to go. I mean, it's never too late. Trust me.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I don't know if you can. I don't even know if I can use them or not, but I have actual voice recorded conversations that we done had.
Yeah, the only reason that those don't help is because of the statute of limitations. And so I'm sure you have them, but that might help you with the criminal matters. It not so much with the civil, but you know, you can present to the police or to, you know, because it's IRS involved, maybe federal authorities, what information you have. And so that may result in something with respect to a criminal investigation.
Understood. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Long time no see, Mr. Nelson. Thank you so much for your appearance, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. You're free to go at this time. I'll get you an order out.
So I log off. I can log off.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.